Hey y'all, we have some plant friends here with us today, and I'm gonna light a candle before we get started. I haven't worked in this space in this way for a couple of months. If you were watching on this channel last year, or much earlier this year, this was the space, but I'm really liking also bringing you guys into the kitchen. So I'll be doing that more too. I hope you're doing good. We are going to pull some cards for us. Okay. It's a really beautiful day here. I've been getting out a lot. Where I live, the winter time can be so just too cold to play outside. So we've been really enjoying getting out. And yesterday I went on a hike with some of my family members, and we went up to the mountain. What have you been doing? Have you been getting out? Okay. Look at that. Okay. I'll tell you why I'm laughing. Sorry for being so cryptic. So look, give me a second to tune in a little bit more with this energy. Yeah. Honestly, I'm just so happy for you, for us. There's this different way of, the Three of Swords usually talks about these really challenging moments where we are just confronted with something that deeply is not working. So a lot of times this does have to do with relationships, but this is also just the way that we function within ourselves. The swords sometimes relating to the element of air, there are these sort of looping thoughts that we can get caught up in and identify with. And there's sort of like this magical moment where the tables turn and you no longer identify with those looping thoughts anymore. They sort of come apart from your identity, and you can see them from a different perspective. And what happens then is a lot of the energy or the dynamics in your life are sort of turned on their head. I would imagine that this Mars transit through Scorpio has dug up a lot of that stuff. Mars does tend to do that, be very disruptive. And he actually just entered into the sign of Sagittarius today, moved from Scorpio to Sagittarius. So we have a completely different energy. It's a more open, expansive energy. It can feel a bit restless too. But for me, this is sort of like you just came out of the cave. Okay, like we'll say the cave is Scorpio. You come out of the cave and you're sort of like now viewing an expansive land ahead of you. And there's so much potential. But you take a moment to sort of take a look at what you just came out of. And like, this is actually the vibe, really, right here, the Three of Wands. Guys, this is just so beautiful. So long story short, turning this thought pattern that is, you know, ultimately self-harming around. The Hangman is all about liminal spaces, the in-between time, getting another perspective. And I don't think I have to say much more about that. A lot of us have been feeling that energy. The Ten of Pentacles reversed is just like, I couldn't have asked for the more perfect cards to come out, honestly. This is related to what we were talking about with the King of Pentacles reversed beforehand. The Ten of Pentacles is all about generational wealth. You see the multiple generations that are being represented in this card. And he's just sitting there and he's like totally unbothered, you know? Like he knows he has enough for his family, his community to thrive. And there's just like this rediscovery of what generational wealth could mean. You know, we've been told a lot of stories about what that looks like, but then we're discovering a new way of looking at that for ourselves right now. And because of that, there is this sort of, you know, choice. We do notice the mountains. They're very far off. If you've been going through some heavy and dense energy recently, you might feel a little break from that. Like I said, the Mars in Sagittarius situation could feel a little restless, but it's also like, it's much more chill in a lot of senses. Like a lot of ideas, a lot of putting together of the things you've been going through recently. Like just dots coming together, things are making sense. This is really a great time to journal, to think about your options, and where you want to go from here. What are the changes you want to make? What are the manifestations that you're calling in? This is a beautiful time to do that, especially since we just went through this entire situation where all of this happened up here. So man, journal about what you were excavating and what you were realizing could come off of your identity. Journal about the changes in perspectives. Journal about the changes in your ideas about what wealth and abundance are, because those are going to continue to expand, to shatter, to deconstruct, to reconstruct. And so the more you dig deeply here, the more you can begin to build that foundation on something that is real to you and not something that you were told to believe in that may or may not be real. And we're going to have a lot of opportunities to work on this in the near future. Tomorrow, for example, is the full moon in Taurus, and I will be doing a whole video on that, like, for sure. I'm going to be putting that together tonight. We are already under the influence of the full moon. The full moon is typically like the day before, the day of, and the day after. Same thing goes for the new moon. We're under that influence for about 3 days. Although if you are a more sensitive person, you may feel that coming up within you, you know, before and after that. Okay, so here we are. We're at this point here. And what is coming in is the Emperor. So, you know, very much self-authority. Very much regaining, I don't want to say control over yourself, but how can I put this in? Yeah. I mean, just very solidified sovereignty. And this is kind of Taurian vibes in a sense. You'll see these rams here for Aries. But, you know, ultimately the Emperor is obviously the guy who calls the shots. And when you are rehashing all of these types of things in your life, you know, like the essence of who you are and how you think, when you're taking a new perspectives and developing your thoughts on what abundance and wealth means, you can then act from a place of greater inner authority, a place where you're much more solid in how you speak to the world, what you do. The Emperor is definitely a guy who does things, makes things happen. Ultimately, the benefic version of an emperor cares for his people. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of taking on responsibility. This dude has a lot on his plate. And not necessarily in a bad way. I mean, look at him. He's just kind of chilling there for a minute. So it's not something that he's uncomfortable with, mad about, or anything like that. And now he did come out reverse. So my interpretation of that is just that you might have some hesitation about how that could possibly show up through you, like this energy. But ultimately it can, and it probably is. That's something that you've been building on for quite a while now. So that is there. Which is great news, because embodying this Emperor guy is just helpful in so many arenas. What is it? What? Oh, okay, cool. Alright, is there anything else? Anything else that wants to come out? Let's see. One of the things that might be shaking us up right now and giving us a new perspective is, let me go back into astrology again. Today, whenever Mars moved into Sagittarius, he is now opposing Uranus in Gemini. And Uranus can be very destabilizing. I just want to give you guys a heads up about this. Oh, look at that. So, yeah, okay, so the moon today is speaking to me about illusions being disrupted, like clearly noticing, hey, this is shadow projection. Hey, this is your stuff, not mine. Hey, this belongs to the culture. It's not within me. And that's not to say to abdicate responsibility. We're not doing that at all. We are actually embodying responsibility. But you don't, again, you don't have to merge with various illusions, right? You can see them for what they are and move along accordingly. Take that into consideration. But yeah, keep going. Like Uranus, what I was going to say about Uranus and Mars is they are coming into an opposition today. And Mars moves quickly, so we'll be out of this relatively quickly. We'll be out of this shortly, within a couple of days, I would expect. And basically, Uranus is on the cusp of Gemini and Taurus. So that is related to resources and communication. Uranus is about to retrograde back there. So something about quick, impulsive movements related to the element of earth and the element of air. This kind of stuff a lot of times shows up in the news in extremely jarring ways. There are a lot of, when the earth, the element of earth, Taurus, when that moves quickly, it's usually not good. But I'm interested with Uranus here at the intersection of air and earth, like what kind of innovative things possibly could be coming up within us related to how we communicate about the earth. How we communicate about anything earth element related, basically. So if you are tuned into that kind of a flow, you might have some really good ideas at the moment. Uranus stuff is typically, like for me, it can be a little frustrating because sometimes it's too quickly to capture all of the ideas. But yeah, so long story short, it's a little bit all over the place. It's a little bit chaotic with this Uranus opposition with Mars. But there's a lot of good stuff that's happening for us regardless. The King of Cups, I'm actually kind of loving that we have all these men, like everybody here. These are all dudes. I think there's a lot of rebalancing what our ideas are about men, about masculinity, about what we've been told that looks like as well. So that could be something that's coming in for you. One of the things about identifying illusions and seeing them more clearly is you become less scattered. You become a lot more emotionally sovereign. That's kind of one of the things that the King of Cups is a master of. He is very balanced in what he allows to affect him emotionally. And it's not that he's blocking it out, right? It's because he has discerned what, brings what feelings and what he needs to be able to tap into to remain in this balanced state. So the King of Cups, as an archetype, he's always in this state, right? But we're humans and we're learning. And so you might be able to tap into this guy over time for longer lengths of time. Don't expect yourself to just land here one day and stay here. I know that y'all know that, but I just want to give a reminder that a lot of these illusions that we live under are, and I'm not used to talking about the moon card in this way, honestly. Usually the moon card for me is a very positive card. And it still is, like, the fact that we can identify illusions means that we're tapping more into our intuition, which is a good thing. But yeah, like, there's, so let me just give you this quick example. Let's say you pull up the homepage of YouTube and you see, like, there's some videos on there that are kind of crazy and kind of scary looking. Sometimes allowing yourself to explore, you will be able to tap in. It's not that you're sheltering yourself from certain information. It's that you've gone there. You've gone to the depths. You've explored it deeply. Scorpio season is great for this. We're still in it. And you have come out with a more solid understanding of your intuition and your emotional capacities and any abilities that you have related to water or intuition, and kind of how all of that affects your day-to-day life and what to take in and what to take out. And so, yeah, there's kind of this moment where you have a glimpse of, oh, I don't need to be taken for a ride by my emotions. But it's not something where you're just pretending like something doesn't exist or sheltering yourself from it in that way. Okay, let's get a couple of oracle cards before we head out for some closing advice. This is really big stuff. I didn't actually expect all this when I came on here. I thought we were going to do just like a cute little reading before the full moon tomorrow, but you know, Taurus is deep. I think deeper than a lot of people give it credit for. Okay. Oh, look, we've got Mars energy here. Okay, so the Starseed Oracle is extremely goated, and I'm probably going to read to you the messages. We have the Great Severing, Mars energy, anger, conflict, and softening to love. The Blue Flame, spontaneous awakening, activation, integration time. Messenger, Sirius energy, bringing harmony and balance. All right, let's take a look. All right, the Great Severing. This is a shadow card, one that may feel confrontational. Don't be afraid. It's here to bring to the surface anything that's standing in the way of letting love in. The warring planet of Mars is our constant reminder that it's important to soften, forgive, and find our way back to love. There are many things in the human experience that make it difficult for our heart and soul to stay open to the never-ending source of love. We're all wounded, and our unconscious wounds inflict wounds on others. It can feel like a never-ending dance we can never escape. If we aren't careful, before long, we'll see the world as a scary, dangerous place where fear and anxiety roam free. If this card surfaces, it could be for two reasons. Firstly, for you to acknowledge the difficult emotions, situations, conflicts, wounds, and fears that are causing you pain and anxiety. And secondly, for you to find your way back to love. When we're hurt, it's normal to close off our heart to the world, to let the painful experience confirm the agony of separation in earthly life. Soften and find your way back to love anyway. When fear, anxiety, and paranoia paralyze you, it's normal to want to hide away from others in the world. Come out of your cave and soften your heart anyway. We're all innocent children spinning our way around the world. Find a way to see the innocence in all people, especially yourself. And the questions are, how are you cutting yourself off from love? And how can you soften toward those who have hurt you? Yeah, okay, so very interesting. I was considering talking to you guys about going out into the world and doing things. And I just want to, I think what I want to say is, if you've been scared of this, is there a way that you can try dipping your toe back in? This card mentioned coming out of the cave, which is hilarious because I talked about that earlier with Mars moving out of Scorpio. So, you know, even though it can feel like a volatile time right now, and it is, I'm not going to lie to you, it is a volatile time. There are people out there who are deeply ungrounded and all of this stuff. A lot of us are going through it right now. But at the same time, like, can you get out one more time this week? Can you try something new? Is there any way to bring that in to your your current reality. And if not, I think Mars in Sagittarius is a great time to brainstorm about what you do want to be doing in the near future. If it's a season of hermiting and rest and going within for you, I completely understand. Once we move out of Scorpio season and into Sagittarius season later this month, it'll be a more expansive time to dream. So if you're really not feeling the Sagittarian energy quite yet, it should be rolling through here in a couple of weeks. So don't feel like the opportunity will have passed you up or anything like that. If you're called to stay in, that's cool. But it really is, like, I can't even tell you how expansive and interesting and connected and abundant it has been to go out in the world and connect with people on another level this year. There are a lot of people out there, y'all, who are making incredible things happen, and whether or not you want to start your own thing or just join with people who are doing something really cool already, they're out there. They're out there. You just got to find them. And I know that we all have experience working with people who are doing things for the wrong reasons, but as long as you've tapped into what you value and you have done a lot of this inner work, which is clearly showing up here that y'all have been doing that for quite a while to have landed in this Emperor energy, by the way. Like, that's congratulations. You've already cut away a lot of what's not for you. So if it's been a while since you circled back around and connected with people, new people, to you in the outside world, it could be a really good time for that. Okay, the blue flame, spontaneous awakening, activation, and integration time. This is a card of awakening and energetic upgrades. Perhaps you're going through a period of spontaneous awakening, receiving visions, and having experiences that are out of the ordinary. In the West, little is known about the process of spontaneous awakening, and it can feel very scary when we're going through it alone. Elsewhere, they can be seen as auspicious experiences, with those going through them as being treated with tender care. Oh yeah, being treated with tender care. Okay. That's interesting. The blue beings are thought to be activating beings with great potential for healing and upgrading our cellular structures. They appear in moments of extreme awakening, activating a physical kundalini awakening and deep cellular and DNA healing. Many people glamorize the awakening process. However, in reality, it's much messier and more difficult than most of us believe. We must first let go of what we think we know for sure and how we make sense of the world. This isn't easy. The awakening process, even when it's spontaneous, takes a considerable amount of time to integrate. An awakening without integration can leave us feeling very ungrounded. If you're in the midst of an awakening, the process never ends. Treat this time as deeply sacred and give yourself ample space to ground and integrate the extreme changes you're going through. Little baby steps. Little baby steps. If you've ever read Atomic Habits, and he talks about like working on your micro habits, that is kind of the vibe here, because you're taking all of this stuff, you know, that you're learning, and be fair on yourself, be reasonable on yourself. Don't expect yourself to change into a different person overnight. Like, that can happen, but it's usually not sustainable. Messenger, serious energy, bringing harmony and balance. Yeah, you know what? This is giving Uranus. This is giving Uranus coming in. I'm not gonna lie. The position of Uranus right now is very much so shattering a lot of the structures and ideas that we previously held. And this card says you're being called to bring about this balance of harmony between the masculine and the feminine, to be a guardian of harmony and balance on Earth. Think of the whales traveling around the globe, sharing love through their healing vibrational song. Their unique notes send balance and harmony to every corner of the planet. A rebalance of the masculine and feminine is occurring worldwide. It's a resurgence of the sacred within us all. A returning of the sacred union within, a rekindling of heaven and earth. You can begin to bring harmony and balance by creating it in your own life, and the ripples will flow from there. You can honor and balance the sacred masculine and feminine energies within yourself and others. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. You notice all the men in these cards. I already talked about that. There's, like, we live under patriarchy and everything like that. It's been thousands of years of us casting out the feminine and demanding that the masculine controls everything and keeps us all safe and contained. So breaking out of those limitations, it can feel destabilizing. But it is exactly what we need right now. And I know a lot of y'all are aware of that. So I'm going to leave this here. This is really exciting. So I'll be back tomorrow for the full moon in Taurus. And we will be diving a little bit more deeply into the archetypes of the moon as well as Taurus, because I'm really excited to, I'm going to have a little bit of a different format for the video. And if you are interested at all in sharing what you learned about the moons, I know some of you guys have been on a journey with the moon cycles this year. So, yeah. If we can get any kind of conversation going in the comments of that video tomorrow, that would be really awesome. Or if you just want to kind of show up and listen, that's cool too. But I hope you're having a good day. Thank you so much for doing this work and for spending some time with me here today. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye.